In today's video, we talk about the 3 steps to make your diet work for you. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and if you're used to watching my videos and I'm wearing tank tops, well, today it's a little bit chilly in Florida. I don't want you to feel too bad for me. The low is gonna be 43 degrees today, so I'm actually wearing pants, long sleeves, and a skull cap that I got from my man Doug Miller a long time ago that I never get to wear, so thank you, Doug. I will be crushing it today. Today's video topic, I'm gonna go a little off trend. And lately what I've been doing is, posting questions from people on Instagram or of clients. And those questions tend to be at a little bit of a higher level, kind of next level. Someone that's already been tracking their diet, they're used to the lifestyle, and they have more of a high level question, which is great and I really enjoy doing. But what I've found lately is that by putting out more information, I'm getting questions of a more basic nature. And actually I've had a lot of people reach out to me that I've just known through my life that are interested in getting results. And so I want to do a video today that is about how to get started. Because for so many of us, myself included, that initial impetus to get started with diet is so difficult. It freaked me out. I remember the first time that I said I was gonna do this, I was gonna get on a bodybuilding stage. I hired my friend, who was not my friend at the time, but he was the authority at the time, I felt, in Lane Norton, and he sent me a plan. And that plan just had a bunch of numbers on it, and I was immediately pretty freaked out. Like, what do I do? And I know I've had some clients that I've sent their plans to, and they've actually kind of had that same deer in the headlights look. And so what I want to do today is talk about 3 easy steps that we can take to just get moving in the right direction, so it's not overwhelming. You know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with 1 step, but sometimes that first step is the most difficult. So I'm going to go over today 3 steps, just 3 things you could do in your own time to get started and make your diet work for you. Put your goals into motion. Once they're in motion, then we can build some momentum. All right, so let's talk about those. All right, guys, this is where we start, right here. And what do I mean by that? Well, this little device used to be known as a phone, but it's probably a lot less a phone and a lot more a computer now, has changed the game. Well, in 2007, when I actually started getting interested in the whole prospect of nutrition, what I found was the most difficult part was actually finding nutrition facts, figuring out the calories of something I was going to eat, figuring out the macronutrient breakdown, the protein, the carbs, the fats, the fiber. Because my first plan had a list of macronutrients on it. That list seemed daunting at the time because there was endless possibilities, unlimited food choices. But what I did was I simply started with this task. And this is step 1. So cue up the step 1 of the easy steps. The first step in this process is simply going to be to track what you eat for an entire week. Now, a lot of people, when they think that they have to track what they're going to eat for an entire week, their mindset immediately shifts to, I have to eat right. I have to eat healthy. I can't eat that Snickers bar that I eat. I can't have an entire pizza. I better drink diet soda or water instead of regular soda. This is the first mistake. There's no stress here. This is not information you have to share with anyone else. Simply stated, you must get a realistic picture Be very self-aware, be honest with yourself, because no one's judging you based on this information. This is just simply the facts. What are you eating on a typical week? Now, if it's Christmas or the holidays and you're gonna be eating a non-typical diet because you're traveling, maybe not the best time to track. But if you go to work on a daily basis, you tend to eat the same things, you tend to go to the same restaurants, you tend to have the same desserts, then this is what you want to track. So the first step is simply this. Pick an app that you want to use. The most popular app would be MyFitnessPal. And the reason it's very popular is because it's very easy to use. My problem with MyFitnessPal is that it tries to tell you, based on your age, your weight, your activity level, what you should be eating. But for the purposes of these 3 easy steps, do not bother that. Do not pay attention. Simply track what you eat. Simply plug things in. There are other websites. I used to use FitDay. My favorite app for anyone that's interested is called MyMacros Plus. This is a little more advanced of an app, but when you get started with this tracking, you'll realize why it's so great. It does not tell you what to do. It allows you to have as many meals per day, as many food items. But the common things between these apps that make them so useful is that it makes tracking really easily. So if you go to a restaurant, you can type in Chili's cheeseburger, it will have that in there. You can just add it to your day. If you go to the grocery store and buy something, take it home and eat it, you can scan the barcode and it will have that information in there. It will pull it up. You can add it to your day. So these things make it very easy. MyMacros Plus also has these features. So what's most important is that you track it. Don't get bogged down in being exact, because what can happen is you go to look something up like, oh, I had grilled chicken, and you realize there's 30 different entries for grilled chicken. Just pick one. Pick one that you like, that makes the most sense, and use it every week. It's more about being consistent. Don't get bogged down in which one is exactly right, which one is perfect. That can come down the road if you're really concerned about that. The most important thing is just getting started. Just start plugging things in. Just start plugging foods in and looking at that information. Once you have done that for an entire week, then we can move on to step 2. So again, step 1 is simply track what you eat for a week. And I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you write it down on paper. I don't care if you enter it in an Excel spreadsheet. I don't care if you put it on notes in your phone. Maybe you put it all into the app at the end of the day. Maybe you put it into the app as you go. One thing I have found is that although it seems overwhelming, once you get used to putting food in your app or entering it into a website, it becomes second nature, as it only takes a moment, because we are creatures of habit and we tend to eat the same foods over and over. So after a week or so, you've pretty much entered everything you're going to eat, except for things that if you go out to eat and you don't have on a regular basis. But then you're only adding, say, 1 or 2 items a week to your food list, so it builds over time. And what really makes it nice is if you eat the same things over and over, these apps recognize that, and so you have a list of recent foods or frequent foods to choose from to add to your daily list. So you're not constantly searching for things. It builds a personal food library for you. That's a little more advanced. That's not something I'm worried about. If you're serious about improving your situation with your diet for 1 week, have an honest assessment. Write everything down, enter it into a food website, enter it to an app. Apps, for those of us that are good with the phone, are much easier. Websites can be cumbersome on your phone, but if you're on a computer during the day, or prefer to be on a computer with a big screen, then websites work just as well. All right, so let's talk about step 2. All right, so we're on to step 2 now. We've had a full week of tracking our diet, and we have some data to look at. And so with step 2, we're simply going to change your macronutrient ratios for better body composition. This doesn't mean we're going to cut a bunch of calories out. This doesn't mean we're going to make wholesale changes to your life. I don't want these 3 things that you have to do to feel stressful at all. It should not feel stressful. It should feel like a fun little experiment, right? So we've got this data, you've got this information here, and I'm just going to make up some bogus numbers. But let's say you plugged in all your numbers. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at these calories. Let's say we're taking in 2,000 calories, right? but the bulk of those calories are coming in the form of carbs and fats. What we want to start to do is shift our macronutrient ratios. Before we worry about reducing any of your calories, what we can usually do is adjust your macronutrient ratios and immediately see changes in diet habit, satiety, energy, and your ability to not overeat. So what we want to do is take the calories that you're taking in and look at the totals. And what I would like you to do is get an estimate of your lean body mass, right? So you can go on the internet, type in your height, weight, just look up a lean body mass calculator. And we're going to set our protein to be at 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So if you're at 1 gram per pound for protein, we're going to take the rest of your calories, right? So now you've got the same amount of calories roughly, and let's say you're having now 150 grams of protein per day, and you used to be having 60. Well, that 150 grams of protein is going to be roughly 600 calories, right? So now, if you have a 2,000 calorie diet left, you're going to have 1,400 calories remaining for your day. What I'd like you to do next is take your fats. So your fats should be, for this purpose, roughly 25% of your daily calorie intake. That's going to be 55 grams for a 2,000 calorie diet, okay? So now we have 150 grams of protein, we have 55 grams of fat. The remaining calories for that day, which is roughly 900 calories, is going to come from carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get a bad rap, but they're very useful, especially if you're active. So what we want to do there is fill the rest of those caloric needs with those carbohydrates at 225 grams roughly. So your diet on a 2,000 calorie diet would look something like this: 150 protein, 55 fat, 225 grams of carbs. Now, does that mean if you are off, you're bad? No, I don't care if you're exact. I don't even care if you're over or under. All I care about is that you're now aware. You've taken what you were doing and you're starting to shift your habits. The next time you go to eat and you look at your daily intake and you're kind of aware, you're gonna think, well, this meal needs to be a little higher in protein. Well, last meal was a little bit higher in fats, so I'm gonna have a little bit less fats with this meal. I haven't had enough carbohydrates today, but my fats are pretty high. So where am I going to get my carbohydrates from while avoiding fat? These are the kind of questions that a flexible dieter begins to understand and starts to look at food differently and realize there's no bad foods. They don't exist. There are only foods that don't fit your goals for that day, for that week, for that month, for that year. That's what I want to do. I want to give you 3 easy steps to learn how to diet in a manner that fits your lifestyle. We've done 2 steps. Tracked for a week, adjusted our macronutrients, and this doesn't have to be in a single day. This can be over the course of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You just start to shift your focus on your daily eating habits and understand that you want to actually hit some macronutrient goals. So let's talk about step 3. So here's what's going to happen when you get with step 2. You know your calorie intake, roughly what it is per day. You know what your macronutrient goals are that you want to hit, and you're going to have some trouble. It's going to be tough to continue doing things the way that you've been doing them and have success in hitting your macronutrient goals, even your daily calorie goals, with consistency. So what is step 3? Step 3 is actually planning ahead. Now that you understand a little bit about what you eat on a daily basis, what your body consumes, what you need, what you've adapted to, and now you understand what you should be doing more ideally for macronutrient ratios to put you in a place where you can have more lean body mass, feel better, fuller, more energy, and actually start to improve, set some goals for yourself. The next and final step for this process is to just plan ahead. You see, when you start looking at what you're eating on a daily basis and when you're eating out, what you'll find is you'll have a shift of perspective. Okay, well, why am I going over my fats by 50 or 60 grams for the day? And then you'll do a food recall, you'll look at it and you'll realize, oh, well, when I went out today, I had a hamburger for lunch. Next time I go out, maybe I'll get the chicken sandwich. Less fat. Maybe you get a hamburger, but it's lean ground beef instead of full ground beef. right? So there are things you can start to do to change things. When you eat your breakfast in the morning, when you have whole eggs, maybe instead of all whole eggs, you have a couple egg whites instead. Maybe instead of full fat cheese, you have low fat cheese in your omelet. Instead of syrup on your pancakes, you might just have low calorie or low sugar syrup on your pancakes. This way you save carbohydrates. You see, there's lots of little tricks like this. The great thing about dieting and understanding is that when you go to the grocery store, you start to realize there are replacement foods for anything that you like to eat. You don't have to completely change your lifestyle to a bland diet of broccoli and tilapia and chicken every single meal. No, you could still eat your chocolates, your pizzas, your treats, things you enjoy. But there's a caveat. You might have to make your own pizza with low-fat cheese, with carb-friendly pizza sauce, with low-carb pizza crust. These things exist. And I know what a lot of people are immediately going to say, well, they taste terrible. Well, I can confirm that taste buds are adaptable. So yes, the first time that you realize that you're getting 200 grams of sugar a day from soda, the first time that you actually switch to a diet soda, it's going to taste terrible. But guess what? As I can tell you, as someone who hates to drink their calories, I don't drink soda that has calories. I drink all diet sodas, if I have a soda at all. And what does that do? It now tastes normal to me. If I pick up a regular Mountain Dew or a regular Pepsi or a Coke, it tastes disgusting. It shocks me. I can even tell if I get it at a restaurant instead of my diet soda. So taste buds are adaptable. Yes, some things are going to taste better no matter what you do. Diet foods aren't always going to taste as good as the real thing, and there is certainly a place for the real thing in your lives. I'm not suggesting that you never eat that again. All I'm saying is by planning ahead, you can start to have things in your life that you like. Keep your traditions. My wife and I like to have ice cream every night while we watch our TV show before she goes to bed and I go to work. Well, when I'm dieting, it might not be real ice cream anymore. It might be a Skinny Cow ice cream sandwich, or when things get really rough, it might just be a Yasso bar. There's options out there, guys, and whatever makes sense for you is what you should do. Hopefully this helps. I realize it's kind of a broad overstatement and it's not too specific, but I have a project in the works that's going to help people transition into this lifestyle, transition into just understanding and making it a simple process. But for now, start with these 3 easy steps. Track your diet for a week, look at your macronutrient ratios, start to adjust them, and then start planning ahead. As always, guys, thank you for watching. This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. Please comment below if you have questions, if you have specific questions. I will try to address them, and I can address them in another video, or I can maybe leave an answer in the comments below if you have something specific. Have a great weekend. Have a great new year. Let's make 2017 awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.